All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is. I am live again. I'm editing some photos. Today I'm going to edit. If you know my channel, if you've watched my shorts, you know Isabelle, a gymnast that I've been featuring a lot on my shorts. I've done a lot of sessions with her. And one session that I did with her last year was in a super cool location. And I edit them. I already did some editing on them because I wanted to get them out and everything, and I wanted her to have them. But it's such a cool location, and I was kind of in a rush. So I wanted to go back and edit them a little more when I have more time. And I thought now is the perfect moment to go live and chat with you guys while I do it. Um, and as always, I've imported everything into Lightroom. Lightroom is the editing software that I use. It's not. I think there is a version for like the iPhone and iPad, but I'm using a MacBook Pro, and it has a lot more features. It's probably the standard for professional photographers. Can't talk today. Anyway, so let me show you what I have imported here. Let me turn this one off and scroll through all the photos. We'll scroll all the way back to the bottom and see what we have here. We have 860 photos. All right, cool. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what the chat's for. I'm happy to chat with you guys while I'm trying to edit. This is everything I've imported. Like, this is everything I shot that day. I import everything and then I start culling through them, or just going through them, picking which ones are good or which are not good, and then I only edit the ones that are worth editing, because I'm not going to edit almost 700 photos. And that's kind of a boring part because, like, well, if you see here, by the way, this is her little sister. So if you, so in this one here, this was an old mill, like an old, well, not mill. It was, well, I guess it was a mill at some point, but it's basically a building, like a production facility, a huge lot with tons of buildings. And the owner, he rents out one area for like weddings or for photographers, right? And so you can go there and rent it for the hour. It's actually not that expensive, and it's such a cool location. You can see, like, you have these massive, like um, like openings, basically these huge rooms without walls and stuff, and then these beautiful windows. So this is a super, super cool location. It was super rainy. I wish we could have done something outside, but it was just pouring down. So all we could do is inside. Um, so this is her little sister. They were just playing around while I was setting up the light. I did very little light. I used mostly the window light from the right side here. And then from the left, you'll see a little bit, see on the ground here, there's like kind of a little bit of a light cone. I have another light that I set up there. And that, if you look up close, see how the left side of her has like a bright edge, right? And you can also see it on her face and her hair. It just sets and it makes a super nice, kind of like an edge light, and just makes it a little more interesting. So I was just doing some light test while they were just playing, right? They were posing together. It's adorable. She's also a gymnast. Evelyn is her name. Anyways, let me bring this down a little bit. Feel free if you have questions. I'm happy to answer. Um, yeah, so what I do, as I said, I just go through the photos and one by one, and then pick like the best that I feel are the best. And usually what I do is, like, if I take a pose, like we take several like variations of the pose, and then I show her, and then she's like, oh, well, let me try again, and so on. And so then we pick one that's like the best, in terms of, whatever aspects, how she's looking, how she's posing her legs and arms, and maybe sometimes the hair goes into her face or not, and stuff like that. So I look for all these things and pick the ones. And that's kind of a boring part because I just go through them, look one by one. There's not really much happening. So I did all of that already. So I'm not boring you kind of with that stuff. And then what I do, and it's kind of hard to see the little white flag. So as I go through the photos, The ones that I like, I put a little white flag on it, and then I have them basically selected. And then I can go up here in the attributes and click on the white flag, and then it filters everything out that doesn't have a white flag. So all I all I see is the ones that are flagged. And then I start editing. This is just for fun, so I'm not gonna, spend much time on this one. This is just for fun. They won't post this. This is just something cute. They have a moment. One challenging thing about this one here actually is the colors, because whenever you have light coming through a glass, um, to us, to our eyes, glass looks transparent, obviously, but it almost always has a slight kind of tint. Normal glass, like glass for that we have in windows or in cars, tend to have like filter out everything a little bit other than green. So the light that comes in basically has a green tint, right? But it depends on what kind of glass. So that makes it a little bit challenging because you're missing certain color spectrum, and then you have to adjust for that. And I think it's kind of hard to see here in the live stream probably, but if you look close here, there I feel like there's a little bit of a green cast in it. Might also be the texture of the concrete or whatever. There's a lot going on, so we'll fiddle with the colors a little bit. Okay, let's just go through a few here. She had some jumps, some poses, and her little sister was playing with her iPad while she was working. Yeah, Isabelle just signed a contract, I think, with an agency or a manager. I forgot. No, I think it's an agency. So she's doing great. She's been modeling a lot of outfits for gymnasts. So pretty cool. I've been working with Isabelle since she was like maybe 10 or 11. Forgot. It's been a while. Anyway, so let's start with this one here. And then on the first photo, I usually take a little more time, like especially if it's like a new location. I started shooting there, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get the first photo really good and all the color adjustments, because, and I think I explained that in the previous lives if you watched them. If not, don't worry, I'm not gonna assume that you know certain things. By the way, feel free to ask questions. So what I do in Lightroom, I just adjust the colors, I adjust uh, the brightness, the contrast. Sometimes I pick certain areas and select them or adjust them different than others, and so on. And then I can copy paste these settings to the next photos, and you can see here. So I took a bunch of photos with in the same location, basically in the same large room. And if I have a good setting for one photo in terms of colors and contrast and all these things, I can just copy paste it to the other ones, and I know they're going to be right. So that's why I like to take a little more time on the very first one and make that really look good. So the first thing I noticed, by the way, these Christmas lights, this is so weird. Well, it's not Christmas lights, it's just kind of like these LEDs. They kind of look different in every every photo. And I noticed that they're flickering at a certain frequency, and depending on what shutter speed I'm using, sometimes they show up and sometimes they don't. It's really weird. You don't see it with the eyes. With the eyes, everything is on, but you can see here, like some are dimmer than the others. It's just very, very strange. I don't like these cheap LED lights. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is brighten it up a little bit because I feel like this isn't bright enough. And usually looking up here at the histogram is a good idea too, what kind of like the overall brightness is. The next thing, and it's kind of hard to see probably, but is lens correction. So there is an enable profile correction. God, I can't talk today. So what's interesting? So each lens has a different optical profile, and when you take a photo, the data of what lens you were using, what camera, and all kinds of data that the camera basically has at this point is written into the image file. Like there's a section, and outstanding photography and digital work, excellent cinematography. She's absolutely gorgeous. Great job. Thank you, Woodsman. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by the way. So yeah, so basically everything that the camera knows about the lens, about itself, about the shutter speed, and everything you set up is written in it. And so you have that information available. Well, how is that useful? Well, here's the thing, like a lens isn't perfect, right? It tries to be as perfect as possible, but there's physical limitations. And one of the limitations is that towards the edges, it's usually a little darker than in the center, right? It's called vignetting. And you can tell Lightroom, hey, look at the data, look at the lens data, what kind of lens what I was using. And Lightroom knows, it has basically a knowledge base, I want to call it that way, a database of of like thousands and thousands of lenses, right? They measure them and see how much vignetting they have, and then they can compensate. And you can see that if I turn this on and off. See how the edges get like brighter, and also like the image shifts a little bit. So sometimes lenses are not perfect. They distort a little bit, and you can turn that on and off. And you can use, there's a slider. I usually turn distortion off because I don't really care about tiny little distortions. That's mostly for like maybe architecture photography. For me, I don't really care. So I turn that off. You do great work. Thank you. Well, Jeff, thank you for coming, and thanks for saying that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, by the way, if you have questions about, whatever equipment I use, oops, my little camera is moving around here. Okay. Yeah, if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer questions. It's kind of a boring job to edit when there's nobody around. So that's why I like to go live, chat with you guys. So that's the first thing I do. I turn the vignetting on, and you can adjust like how much of that. You can do even like more than 100%, more than corrections, goes a little brighter. I kind of like it. If you look at this, like here, this is no vignetting correction, right? And this is with correction. I feel like it opens the room. It makes the room a little, obviously brighter, but also like, I don't know, it just looks good, right? With the correction. Anyway, so we have that. We'll adjust the color, the brightness, not the color yet. So the next thing, the color, and that's kind of challenging because you picked the perfect girl as well. Hi, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. By the way, most of my clients, almost all of them, I would say more than 90%, is I didn't pick them, they picked me. Meaning that I'm a professional photographer, and they reached out to me and they booked a photo shoot for them, right? And so most of them are actually I didn't pick. Here and there, I do work with people that I pick for other projects, or if I have a new concept that I'm not sure about, or something that I think is going to be really, really cool, and then I pick a certain person, like, hey, let's work together on that one. But for the most part, that's the people pick me. So I'm lucky. The fact that they pick me is very cool. All right, let's adjust the color. This is a little challenging because we have 3 light sources here. We have the window light, right, from the side, which has a certain color because it was an overcast sky. And then the glass, as I said before, glass always has a little bit of a color tint. It filters out a certain color. It's tiny, but it's visible. And then I have my own light. You can see on the bottom a little bit, see the light cone here. So on that side, I had a light, and that light you can see on her. See how there's like an edge on her, like an edge light. That's this light that I set from the side. Okay, and this has a slightly different color. And then we have these decorative lights. They're all over the place, and they have a different color. So this is kind of challenging, right? And so what I do is, what's the most important thing? The most important thing if you photograph people is the skin. Like the skin has to look right. If you have it like too blue, whatever, like it doesn't look good, right? See, she looks like weird. I mean, it might look good for the rest of it, like kind of like the Matrix style, whatever. But I don't think that looks good for her, so I don't want to do that. So what I do is I go in here, and then I found a little trick that works kind of well for skin tones. Now, when I say skin tones, it really depends on which light the skin catches. Like on this side of the face, it's mostly the window light. On this side where her cheek is, that's kind of like whatever the ambient light, and from the left it's kind of this other light. So yeah, it's kind of a challenge. But one thing that I do, I look like I zoom in, so I just see the skin, then I adjust the colors a little bit. These two sliders, that's called the color temperature in photography. And I just use them just and eyeball it, what looks good. And this is kind of pretty close. And I think it's actually pretty good overall. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Actually, yeah, that's really good. In terms of color, okay? Um, maybe it's overall a little too bright. So the next thing I do, I use masks, and mask is something that basically just makes a selection of something, right? And then you can say, whatever adjustments I'm making, only make it for this selection, right? And so I have a preset that generates automatically, and Lightroom does it for me. It generates a bunch of masks, right? And let's see. So it creates it. So Lightroom can do these masks, and it creates a bunch of them in my preset. Some of them are not relevant in this one. If you shoot indoors, there's obviously no sky, so I can delete that. Doesn't matter really. It's like whether it's there or not. So the most important one is subject. So it selects whatever it thinks is the most important subject. In this case, it's her jumping. Background is everything but the subject, basically. Then I made a mask for the face, and then I made one for the body. Body is everything except the face, and I'll tell you in a minute why. And then ground, and that's something that Lightroom does automatically as well, this ground. And it's really cool because now I can say, let's close this for a second. So I like the ground, but it has a little bit of a yellowish, greenish tint. So I can take the ground mask and just desaturate it. I'm not gonna just make it black and white, that looks weird, but I'm just gonna desaturate it so it doesn't like have this like tint to it that I don't like. See, that's really cool. The next thing that I did is I took the background, that's automatically in my setting already, and I made it a little bit darker. So you can see it's just minus 0.24. So a quarter stop. That's really not a lot. Okay. And that just helps to separate her a little bit from the background. Anything that's bright kind of tends to get the attention of the eye. And so making the background a little bit darker than the main subject, it just helps the subject, the person, to pop out a little bit. So here we go. I like to keep the ground in the shot so you can see that she's jumping, and also like, I mean, she's jumping pretty high. That's pretty impressive. See, if I, let me do this. If I crop it like this, let me just so you see that, right? Now you can see she's jumping, but how high is she jumping? It's just not, like you have no reference like where you are in the room. So I feel like a little wider crop with ground just helps. I like it. I like it. Very cool. Okay, nice. Pretty happy with it. I think she could be a little brighter, so I'm gonna brighten her up a touch, maybe the shadows a little bit. This is just small adjustments. They don't make a big difference. It's just something I like to do. And then last but not least, but I'm not gonna bother with this now, is, oh, one thing I forgot. Here's a tiny little bruise here, whatever. So I'm gonna use the remove brush and get rid of it. Basically, it's just like, like the clone brush is called, or whatever. Like it used to be called the clone brush, now it's called the remove brush. Anything you don't like, you just brush over it, and the software automatically figures out, hey, that's probably what you're gonna want to get rid of. So it just tries to find something around it and clones it. If we zoom in close here, you see there's kind of a lot of noise here, and it's just because it was pretty dark in there. It was, let me see. Oh, I was shooting at ISO 2000. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, yes. It wasn't overcast. It was rainy. It was pretty overcast. So there wasn't, I mean, you can see on the windows, there wasn't like sunlight. There wasn't a lot of light coming in. So it was just the best I could do with the conditions. But I think overall it turned out really nice. So I'm not complaining. I really like it. One thing I noticed, like her skin tone has a little bit of magenta in it. So what I'm gonna do is um, take her subject and just push it a little bit to the green. Green is the opposite of magenta, and so it takes that out. Cool. So we spend a lot of time on this one photo, but we have the settings now for this, and we can apply it to the other one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift select the other ones, and then I'm going to sync it. And now you can pick which settings you want to sync. We don't going to go through everything. It's kind of a boring detail, but anyway, so all the settings, all the edits I've done to this photo will be applied to these other two ones, okay? Now this looks really cool. I love it. We'll see the room. The pose is awesome. I think I had slightly different settings on this one, so I think I need to adjust it. I feel like she's beautiful, isn't she? Yes. Yes, she is. I said it earlier. I don't know if you've been there. I've been working with her for a few years now. She's just signed a deal with I think with a model agency or forgot. Sorry, her mom was messaging me. It's like, hey, she signed this deal, so that's really exciting for her. She's been modeling for like the companies that make these leotards for gymnasts. She's been modeling for quite a few of them over the years, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So wow, I like this one. This is really good. Happy with this. Let's have a look at this one. I like it too, but it's super dark. Oh, see the difference? So this is the first the first one I took. And then if you look at the next one, we turned on these ambient light, these decorative lights, and they make all the difference. Like see how the room kind of like looks dark here. Well, not dark, but like not as exciting. And now it's just like, yeah. I'm not going to throw this away. I still like it, but I think what we're going to do, we're going to take the background mask, so everything except her, and I can bring up the brightness a little bit. I'll make it a little warmer, like this. That's cool. And then her, a little bit the opposite. And a little more shadow, a little more brightness. Yeah, and then I think the background could be actually a little more blue. How about that? That looks cool. It's quite a bit different from the other photos, but with the lack of those decorative lights, I don't know, I feel like I need to do something with it. Anyways, yeah, I like this. Cool. Let's move on, because now that we have it, oh, this is cute. I just took this, she wasn't modeling. It's her sister, and she just came to the photo shoot. She was just hanging out with her iPad playing games. But I thought it was just a cute photo. So I took a photo of her doing her thing. That's neat. I'm just gonna edit it real quick here because it's funny. Where's effects? Effects. There we go. All right. That's nice. Gonna do the same to this one here. It's another one. I don't know. It has like a Christmas feel to it. I don't know why. She's a funny one, by the way. All right, let's go back to Isabelle's photos. So these are in the same room. I just used a different lens. I used a slightly longer lens, so it's a little closer. And but the settings should match. So I'm just gonna copy them from here. This was our first photo that I edited to this one here. And then I'm going to see how that turns out. Yeah. I'm missing the bright lights in the background, but I still like it. I think overall it could be a little brighter. Light is always nice. By the way, Isabelle is just an amazing athlete. She's really cool. I do like it. I think in this case, the background could be a little darker to just make her stand out. And I can make yeah, I don't know about that. I just increased the saturation just on the background to kind of make it pop a little bit, but I'm not sure if I like it. How about this? What do you guys think? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Let's do it this way. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Let me see, I still have ISO 1000. Here I just used ISO 1000. I don't know why. Got away with a little bit less. By the way, if you see how the light on her leg and the arms, like this light from this side here, that was my light. So it's like a little bit off screen. You can't see it. It's one light that I brought and set up there. No, I really like it. That's cool. Now let's copy and paste it to the next one. And let's see how that looks. Oh, yes, I love it. Yes, that's cool. So when I crop, I also make sure that the lines, usually the verticals or the horizontals, are kind of straight. I don't like when it's like a little crooked. So yeah, cool. I like this one. The only thing that I don't like, well, it's kind of a small thing, but we're still going to edit it because I want to do it right. It's like her face feels a tiny little bit too bright because she's really like close to the window. She's got all the light that came in from the window. And I already have a mask for that. It's called this highlights paint subject. I don't know why I called it that way. Nobody understands it but me. And basically, it's a predefined layer that has a brush in it. Nothing is brushed yet. It's just there for me to use if I want it. And then if I paint on her, it basically brings the exposure down just a touch. It's really subtle, right? It's hard to see probably on the live, but it's just enough to kind of, let me see if we can see it if we turn it on and off. Actually, you see it. So now it's turned off and here's turned on. See how the difference? It's not much, but I think it helps that her face doesn't look like a little bit blown out. By the way, guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm just editing and just explaining what I do, but feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to answer it. Let's look at the next ones. Here we go. There's a few more on the window, and I feel like if we do the exact same ones, I'm going to copy paste the settings from this first one to the next two. She's still standing at the window, doing the same thing. I mean, not doing the same thing. She's doing different things, but it's the same light. So yeah, that's good. I like it. Very cool. Very cool. Yes. It feels like a little crooked, huh? Okay, like this maybe. Better. Better. And this one. That's cool. She's changing a lot. We had a lot of leotards for her, and she was like modeling for these different leotard companies. So we had quite a few of these. So we'll see different leotards on her throughout the day. Very cool, very cool. Look how the the stones here, look at that. They reflect back on her arm. Like he's got all these highlights on it. Very cool. Anyways, I'm happy with this. This is good. It stays as it is. Nothing more to do on this one. Let's go back to this one here. So she's standing in the middle of the room again. I think we are going to use the settings we had on this one, this photo here, and then select this and sync that. I think this will give us a good starting point. Let's see. Yes, much better. I like it. It's a little bright on the edges, but I actually don't mind it. It kind of gives her a glow almost. What do you guys think? I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Yeah, she's glowing. Love it. What's my settings here? Oh, ISO 500. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, those are I try to shoot in a way that I don't have to spend a lot of time editing and fixing stuff. I don't really like it's just a matter of if it takes, let's see, it takes me 30 seconds, right, to adjust something on set, to adjust the lights or, make sure the colors are right or whatever. That's just 30 seconds, right? If I have to edit it, it just takes much longer to edit that photo because I have to fix it and then I have to do it for like whatever, how many photos I have in a session, right? So I always feel like I'm actually saving time by spending more time doing it right in camera and then spending less time in editing because it's so many photos to edit, right? Oh, here's a question from Philippa. What's the purpose of those diagonal lines, things with the... Oh, interesting question. Yes, so if I turn on my crop tool, it creates these lines. Let me show you. So overlay tools, crop overlay guide. So here's different options you have. So when you turn on the crop tool, you can do a grid, right? Which is just, tons of lines. So you can see like where the line here aligns with this and stuff like that. Then let's see, let's go through this. Kind of cool actually. Thirds, the rule of thirds, which is, compositional thing that helps, like if you want to put, like especially if you do portraits, you kind of want to have the eyes or the mouth or something on the thirds. Let's see what else we have. Fifth, I I don't know if anybody's using fifth. It's there. I have no use for that, but it's there. Okay. What else have we? Diagonals. Okay, so this goes from the corner and does like 45-degree angles. Yeah, it's kind of cool, maybe. I don't know if it's useful. I never used that. Let's see, what else do we have? Center. It's just one cross, so you know exactly where the center is. That's useful in certain cases. Let's go through the other ones. Center triangle. That's what I had. So basically, it divides it into triangles with a 90-degree corner, right? That's what it does. Does it help? I don't know. I feel like it kind of makes sense. I'm not sure. Like I try not to see photography as a mathematical equation kind of thing. You do this and then that looks good. If you do exactly the thirds, the rule of thirds or the golden cut, it's gonna, I don't know. It just depends on the photo, on the subject, and how much the subject occupies on the screen. Wait, where am I? Tool overlay? No, here we go. Golden ratio, you guys are probably familiar with that. The golden ratio is basically what we see in nature a lot. Like if you actually, hand is a great example. Like you have these knuckles, right? And then the ratio from this length to this length is the golden ratio, and from this length to this length is the golden ratio. And you can see it in plants, in trees, and in all kinds of things in nature. It's just, I don't know. What aperture do you usually shoot these indoor shoots? Wide open. So whatever the lens, the maximum aperture is, I shoot at that. So in this case, actually, let me switch. Hold on. Let me switch the crop overlay. Golden spiral here. I have no idea where this is useful for. A golden spiral. So it's basically a spiral going into the golden cut. Don't know. Sorry. And then what else? Aspect ratios. So this is might be interesting if you're cropping for print and you still have um, to kind of stick to that. Let me go back. I actually like the thirds. It gives me a grid to help me because that's what I do a lot when I crop. I want to make sure the lines are good. Oh, you know what is interesting? Look at that. If you click, I didn't even know that until I tried it. If you click on it, like now I'm not clicking, right? Now I'm clicking with the mouse to do the rotation, and now it gives me a grid. So it switches to grid when you do rotation. Interesting. And when you do this, it's saying, oh, okay. See, I learned something new. Anyways, sorry, I talked a lot about this. So I'm shooting with an 85 1.2 millimeter lens, and that's what I'm shooting with, wide open. I probably shoot wide open all the time. Very few exceptions. I just love the background being soft. So sorry. Jack, great question. Yeah, that's what I'm obsessed with, like depth of field and bokeh. So I like this blurry backgrounds. That's why I buy lenses and shoot with prime lenses that have a wider aperture. The first shots actually here, let me show you. This was shot with a 50 millimeter, right? Yes, and that is only goes to 1.8. So, all right, where were we? We were at this photo. Cool. Now apply to the next one, copy paste. Let's move on. Petals, leaves, yes. Okay. I like it. Honestly, I'm not super creative with my crops. I'm shooting people, right? I do portraits and I do dance shots or gymnastic shots, modeling stuff. I try to keep it in the center, to be honest. I'm not trying to be like creative with, the main focus of my photography is the person, right? And that's why I like to blur out the background. It's not that important. So I like to blur it out. That kind of puts it, like, gives it less attention, right? And then I do the same with the crop. If you crop it centered, that's kind of like indicates that's the main subject, right? Golden ratio is 1.618. Everything is based on it, down to pyramids, the Stonehenge, Noah's. Yes, absolutely. Fire frost. It's in nature. It's in architecture. And it's kind of funny because it's doesn't seem to be a mathematical thing. It's just that, as you say, 1.618 ratio between whatever it is. You find it even like in the structure of leaves and trees and how they branch out. It's pretty interesting. But as I said before, I'm trying not to um, apply too much scientific or like numbers to my work. I still go by my eye. Um, but I keep it in mind, and I think it's cool that you have the golden ratio as an overlay when you crop, because sometimes that is exactly what you want. So cool. I'm pretty happy with this. This is good. Um, I forgot on this one. Well, I didn't really forget, but like often I go through and see if there's anything distracting, and I try to kind of edit it out with the remove tool. But I feel like in this case here in this session, there isn't really anything. All right, cool. So we have a few more of these. Let's adjust these, or just copy paste the settings from that photo and see what happens. All right, cool. By the way, guys, if you have more questions about whatever I do, feel free to ask them. Always happy to share whatever I know. Not trying to like gatekeep anything here. I mean, really, like editing is just a matter of like, it's nothing. Hi. Have dances. Have dances. Hi. Thanks for stopping by. So I like this. This is really cool. I think, yeah, it's a little bit, in photography, we say if something is a little too bright, a little too hot, like that's too hot, like too close to the light. Let me see if I can fix it a little bit with this brush here. Yeah, it's subtle, but it helps a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, I had a light to this side, and then she was moving around depending on the pose, and she came a little bit too close to the light. So I don't know. I mean, it's all right. It's fine. And here is uh, my mistake I always do. Look at how the camera is crooked. I gotta fix that. And you know what? It's something I noticed that some photographers don't do that. They don't fix their, like, the cameras look crooked, not by much, but like a little bit, because you do handheld. It's not perfect, right? But then they don't fix it in when they edit their photos. They leave that little crooked angle in there. It just bothers me. All right, let's use that brush here again. So it's basically a predefined brush that takes off the light a little bit. It tries to be subtle about it and not do too much, because you don't want to bring it out. It's still a highlight. It's just supposed to be bright, just not overblown. How about that? Yes. Cool. I like it. I feel like she could have a little more. So I'm going to go with subject and bring the shadows a little bit up. Actually, the exposure. How about that? Highlights down. There we go. Looking great, Isabelle. Next photo is this one. Ooh, I overexposed that. Let me see if I can fix this. Ugh, ugh. Not happy with the brightness on her here. Oh, because I cranked it up like crazy. Let me see. Where is she? Subject. Well, first of all, I'm going to brush this thing here. I can use my brush here and just brush the bright areas. That helps a little bit. Actually, that helps a lot. That just takes away the edge of that super bright edge. Takes the edge of the edge. Ah, no, this is more like it. This is good. I'm happy with this. Cool. What did I do here? I just didn't paste settings. How about that? That's what I did. Replace. Why did I change something? It looks so different here, this photo. Look, from this to this. Oh, look at that. Look at the lights in the background here. They didn't switch. I didn't turn them on and off. Look, now they're gone, or half of them, and now they're like 2/3 there. Hi, hello, David. Welcome back live. Hey, Pepper, Pascal. Great to see you again. Thank you. Yeah, I noticed this. I think I said it earlier. Where's fishes and crabs? Fishes and crabs? I don't know. We don't have fishes and crabs today. Not today. It just, because these those lights in the background were LEDs, and they're not on consistently. They turn on and off. It's so fast that the eye can't see it, but the camera sees it, and sometimes it just catches the moment when they're all off, except for these. I don't know. I don't have a good explanation for it, but that's what's happening. Anyway, so I'm going to compensate a little bit. There we go. Cool. And here they're on again. Don't know why. Okay. Oh, this is the same photo. I just already did some editing on that one. Okay. I guess I can skip that because I already did something. All right. She did some modeling poses just for this leotard here. This is the next room. We went to, there was two large rooms or two large areas, in this building that we could use. And this one was basically on the opposite side of the first one. And I'm pretty happy with it, but I feel like it needs a little more punch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bunch of masks automatically. I don't need all of them, but a few. Ground. Okay, this is cool. The ground can be a little more, look at that. If I use clarity on the ground, like how cool that looks. And I'm gonna make it a little cool, warm background, lights and bokeh. Thank you. Yes, yes. Yeah, I was just explaining it before. You can still see it. Like someone was asking what aperture I'm using, and I always shoot wide open with my prime lenses. So usually it's 1.2 or 1.4 or 1.8, depending on the lens. So I'm going to edit the ground a little bit. You see, I made it a little blue, and I made it way more contrasty with the clarity one. I just feel like the ground looks really cool. Now, next thing, I'm going to edit the background, and I feel it could benefit from the same, like adding a little crunch to it. I don't know how to describe it. More colors, and we're going to bring the shadows up a little bit. Like here, you see, this is almost black here. Let me turn these off. See, it's almost black. So as soon as you have something very dark in it, you lose detail. So I like to bring in just a little bit. So it's not like I'm not trying to make it bright. I'm just trying to get a little more texture into that. Yeah, I see the aperture within the top right Lightroom. Yeah, it's pretty damn expensive. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one of the most expensive. I have the 85 1.2. I think it was 2,700 US dollars. So yeah, that's an expensive lens. But honestly, it's worth it because I use it probably like I use it on almost every session. I use it a lot. It's my favorite lens. So yeah, it's just, but also like it's not just that it has a 1.2. The way the lens is designed is that it gives a super nice soft background. It's not just the aperture only, it's also the design of how the lens bends the light rays going through. There's different ways to do it, and that lens is just gorgeous. Yeah, cool. Now here comes in the body, the body mask. What is a body mask? It's you can see if I move the mouse over, everything that turns red is what the mask is. It's everything but the face, right? So let me explain what I'm going to do. So here, I like the overall, but I had my light almost from camera, so it's a little flat. It's not very exciting. It doesn't shape her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the body, which is everything but the face, and add more clarity. And you can see what it does. Like here, this is 0 clarity. She just looks a little flat, like the lighting on her. Now it looks more interesting, right? Okay, that's good. Now the second thing I need to do is create a subject, and then I'm gonna intersect that with the gradient, and I'm gonna just do this. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you look at the photo and look at the exposure on her, see how her arms are a little darker and her legs are the brightest. And the reason is that was my mistake. I admit it. I had my light probably adjusted a little bit too low, right? Top part looks kind of dark. Exactly. Yes, I was just going to explain. Exactly. Thank you. And it's just because I had the light tilted down on her. Like you can see, like from here on downwards is bright, and then here is a little dark. So, not a problem. Taking this mask and bring it up a little bit. Okay. And now what I'm doing, I'm taking this mask, which is her, but only the bottom part, and make this a little darker, right? This is step one. Yeah, we said the same thing, exactly, yes. So I make it darker. Now it's even. Now everything is a little too dark, but now I can go in So basically what I've done with this mask is I evened out the exposure difference between top and bottom. And now I can go into the subject, make her brighter, and she's all bright, right? Everything is equally bright. Cool. And the reason I was using the body to create this contrast is I don't want her face to have that same like texture. Let me show you what happens if I am going to take the face, and if I do this to the face, see how that doesn't look good? Like this is 100% on the clarity on the face. It doesn't make the face look good. It just makes it not good. So you don't want to put it on the face, but it's fine on the body because it just helps shape the body. Let me just fix this real quick here. And then there's a tiny little red spot here. Here we go. Cool. So now I'm much happier with this photo. So this is before. This is how it came out of the camera. And this is what I did with it. I like it. Look at the background. The bottom, the floor looks really cool. I love that. I really love that space, that studio space. Well, it's not a studio. It's kind of an event space. But man, it's so cool. Great edit. Thank you so much, Pepe. Pepper, not Pepe. Pepe Pascal. Sorry, God, I'm so bad in like butchering all names. You live in Canada, friend. Here in Brazil again, watching your videos. Thank you, Hugs. Thank you so much. Pepe Pascal, is that the correct way to say it? I don't know. PP. No, I can't call you PP. Oh my God. Okay, I'll just shut up. I'll just shut up. Oh God. Oh my God. Pepe Pascal. Okay, I'll stick to editing. I can do that. I'm not good with names. All right. Yeah, you can laugh at me. All right. Adriano, thanks for coming. Yes. All right, let's see. So we have a bunch of other photos that are basically the same. I'm going to just copy paste the settings. We don't need this. Now, do I want to copy and paste this mask? I want to, because she's almost in the same spot. Let's see how that turns out. You know the mask where I was separating top and bottom? I'm not sure it applies equally to this photo. When you copy and paste things that are specific to where the subject, where she's standing, it sometimes doesn't work so well. Actually, I think it happened to work out great here. Let me double check here. What if I turn this off? Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. Yeah, look at that. The legs are too bright this way. This is good. This is good. Yeah. Okay. That worked out great. That worked out great. Let me crop it a little bit straighter. I think that's good. Nice, nice. By the way, this was like a low budget shoot, if I want to call it that way. It's just I just had one light. I literally just one light on a battery. I didn't have a lot of lights. We didn't have that much time to really like do a sophisticated light. If I had more time and there was like a bigger shoot, I would, set up a few more lights. I would set up like a little softer light. This is a little harsh light and things like that. But you know what? You work what you have. You do the best you can. Not all the conditions are never perfect, right? So you do the best you can, and that's just how it is. Okay, let's brighten her up a little bit. I love it. Very cool. Harsh shadow is okay too. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. I don't mind it here that much. Like you can see, like on her leg, you see there's a harder shadow. I think it's fine because the light's coming from the camera, right, instead of from the side. So actually, if you look at her face, it looks great. I think it's cool. I mean, I don't mind it. It's kind of that classic, like the classic movie lights in the 20s and 30s when they had like a strong light next to the camera, and it just actually creates a nice light on around especially for the face. And it creates, if you look at that, she's got a nice highlight here in her eyes. That's really cool. Let me just fix this highlight here. Like the little spots, the highlights in her eyes are really cool. So yeah, a harsh light is not always bad. A hard light, you just can't have it from the side. That's when it becomes not so good, at least for portraits. Let me try something crazy here. I'm going to use a background and pulling it all the way to blue. Interesting. I kind of like it, actually. Wow. All right. With that, lens clients will be happy anyways. I doubt they won't ever point this station. No. They're super happy with the photos, and no, it's all good. Yeah. I think it's mostly the photographers that are arguing about, like, is this light good or bad, and this is, like, because that's just our job, so we like to discuss it. Same with like noise, like, oh, this is noisy and you can't use that high ISO. Like, I've never had a client ever tell me photo is noisy. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't look at it that way. Same with like this little shadow. It's totally fine. Nobody will ever say like, why is there a shadow? Like, if you have a shadow in the face, across the face, that's a different story. But that's the main thing. The face has to look really good, and I think it does. It's easy. She's got a pretty face, right? Alrighty. Fit. I love noise. Actually, I like to add some. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't mind it either. If there is a dark, if you don't have a lot of light, I crank up the ISO. I don't care about the noise. If you don't want it later, you can take it away. Like, there's the denoise functions are really good these days. So yeah, I have zero problem with noise. And sometimes, yeah, you want to add it. Okay, so this is pretty. It's a tiny little spot here. Meep. Cool. So I feel like, and that might not be so visible in the live stream here. Excuse me. Her skin has a little bit of a magenta tone. So I'm going to take a subject mask. I like to call them, I give them a name so I know what it is, and I'm going to give it a touch green. Let's see if it works. I want to just turn this on and off. Yeah, she has a little bit of a magenta cast on her skin. And by shifting a little bit into the green side, you compensate for that. So that's good. I'm happy with this. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to select the background, which is basically everything but her, called BG. And I'm going to desaturate it like this. I like that because it makes her stand out a little bit more. Without it, the background has a similar color tint shift, whatever you want to call it, than the skin tones, which, but if it's desaturated, I think it makes her pop out a little bit. And then I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Here we go. And let's try, ooh, I like that. Yes. Clarity is one of my favorite features, sliders in Lightroom. It's always cool. So this is before, this is after, before, after. Very cool. Awesome, Isabelle. I'm going to take this electrical junction box out. It's not very distracting, but it's something that has no meaning in a photo, and sometimes the eye goes to, like, I don't know, just it bothers me. So I'll take it out. Okay. And we have a bunch of more photos of her posing basically in the same spot, different things. So I'm going to use the exact same settings. That's awesome. That's why I love Lightroom. Like you spend a little more time on one photo and get it right, and then you can copy paste it to the other ones. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Love it. I feel now I added a little bit too much green, so I'm going to take that back. It might have been just, no, not this one. Maybe it was just the light coming from here. I don't know. This looks good. Yes. Let me just do one little thing here. Fixing this. I really love a little highlight in the eyes. That just always makes a portrait look cool. If you look at the classic painters that, like in the days before photography, the really good painters that did portraits, they always did a light dot of white color, like a tiny dot on the eyes, which is the highlight. Makes such a difference. Like it's so cool. And if you ever go to a museum and see like a good portrait, a painting, and then you go in and look at the eye, it's literally just a dot of white paint, like white color, just top of the eye. And when you look super close, it's like, huh? But then you step back and see the whole thing is like, perfect. Without it just doesn't, yeah. Catch light, yes, catch light. Ideally, you don't want the catch light right in, like, in the center of the pupil, but again, like, I'm not a master. I'm just a photographer. No, it just happened that way. She was turning her head back and forth. I told her just look this way, look that way. I like to do that anyways, just so we have a variation. Like here, just look the other way. Just get rid of that junction box again. That's pretty. Gonna do a little bit of cleanup here. I mean, she's got good skin and everything. Nothing really to worry about. It's just sometimes the way the light hits it, sometimes it brings out the tiniest little imperfections too much. How does this look in black and white? I like it. The reason I'm not gonna use black and white here is those photos are for the company that makes the leotards, her outfit. So they don't care about black and whites. They don't care about arts. They want to see the leotard well. So it would defeat the purpose of the photo if we made this black and white. But I think it works. I mean, it looks good. Just doesn't really help here. Well, the eyelashes shadow. Let me go back to this one here. You don't like my eyelash shadow? Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. I see what you mean. Well, let's bring it back. Is that better? What do you think? You don't like my eyelash shadows. Okay, that's a little too much now. Let me retry this. No. What if I turn this into a heel brush and start here? Yeah. Better? You like it better now? Pepe, 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 Pepe Pascal. Better now? I think it is. Sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I appreciate it. You're right. You're right. It was absolutely here. This is the original. You're right. It just looks a little odd that she's like has a shadow, this flag kind of thingy. Now it's better. Okay. Yes. And here's the thing, like, it's just because I took the photos doesn't mean I see everything the way, like I appreciate if someone else is looking at my photo and then like, oh, what about this? Like, oh wow, I didn't even look at that. And like, yeah, I love that. That's very cool. So here is another lighting setup. Like this is again the second room. It was really dark. There's no windows in that section of the room. So the only thing I had was my light. And then the only way If you only have one light and it's hard, I didn't have like a softbox or anything with me. We didn't have the time to really set up lights there, so I just brought one light with a reflector. Um, and if you only have one, it's probably safest to set it like near the camera so you don't get these harsh shadows. So let me start over here. I'm going to start with just exposure. I think the colors are pretty good here. We want to separate the background and foreground, so we're going to do 2 masks, subject. Again, I give them names, and then background. Okay, let's see what I want to do. The background could be a little more contrasty, so we're going to do this and the blacks down. That's a little too much. One or the other. How about this? This is good. Okay, and then her, she could have a little more. Again, like I think I said it before, if you have the light coming from camera direction, it doesn't shape your person, like the subject, very well. It's a flat lighting. Flat meaning it just comes from the front. And so to compensate for that, you want to go to the effects tab here. I don't know why it's called effects. It really isn't an effect. It's a processing. It's a filter, basically. And so there's texture, clarity, and dehaze. Completely different names, but actually the underlying filter is similar. It just has different sized influence. So texture is tiny details, clarity is mid-sized details, and dehaze is very large details. I mean, it does a few other things too, but like just in general. And so having subject to light, and I'm going to use a dehaze. I'm going to try it, okay? And see how it actually creates a nice shading on her body and legs and everything. It just also gives me too much saturation, but that's easy. I can take that back a little bit. And then I need to adjust the colors because it messed up my color quite a bit. That's what dehaze does. It just does a weird thing with the colors. I feel it's too green. Trying to get this right. This is difficult. This is difficult. I didn't really have good lighting there. And you have a lot of these brownish fill light or ambient light. I always forget that dehaze exists. Yeah, I rarely use it. Because it usually doesn't work well for people. It works well for landscapes and architecture and things like that, but for people, it tends to like, I think in this case, it does a decent job. How about I take it back a touch and then use the rest with clarity? Nah, I don't like clarity. Clarity makes people look dirty. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm not unhappy with this. This is good. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to make the background all blue. Interesting. Kind of like it. Maybe not all the way, but like this is good. It kind of neutralizes the thing. Without it, everything is just this egg color warm thing. Yeah, I like this. It's good. Cool. And of course, I changed direction again. I'm shooting with the window again. Ah. So I think her mom wanted that angle. I kind of like it. I just because I only have like I only had one light. There's only so much I can do, especially when you have a bright background. You need to brighten up the foreground, and if you only have one light, you're kind of limited. As I said, this is a low budget shoot. This wasn't something wasn't a big thing. So I'm going to brighten up her shadows. I made a mask for her and I brighten up her shadows. And you can see like the light is really contrasty because I didn't have a softbox or anything. So brightening up the shadows makes it a little softer. The next thing I'm going to do is a little warmer. I'm going to be careful about that though. Don't want to overdo it. I'm going to add a little bit of dehaze. Then we have to compensate. Oh, the color again. Oh God, I don't like dehaze on people. That's why I don't use it on deep point. There is an age range where clarity is a big no-no to use. Thank you. That's exactly it. The way to describe it. There's an age range, except very old and stereo. Because yes, for me it would work. Like it gives me character, right? No, that's actually so true. Like for if you're really old, like and you're not trying to hide it, and you have wrinkles, and then you enhance that, it actually makes for a really good portrait. Yes. Okay, so and then just overall brightness a little more. Okay. Subtle things here. Now let's create one for the background. Background. What do I do with the background? You know what? I kind of want to separate the floor out. So how about this? I'm going to create a linear gradient. And I'm going to do the floor this way. It's not a perfect mask, but it's good enough for this. And I'm going to give it full clarity and blue. Ooh. Just punches the buck. Gives a little punch to the floor. Give it a mask here. Floor. Give it a mask. Give it a name. It's just like when you work in Photoshop and you have all your layers and you just call it layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. You have no idea what it does. So I really try to give it names because sometimes, I stopped editing and then start again the next day or whatever. And then it's just like, I had no idea. Okay. Pretty cool background. What do I do with the background? Let's do clarity. Yes. See? Ooh, I love that. That is so cool. Clarity. Yes. Let's see if it works if I make it blue. Yeah. Actually does. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Actually, I'm super happy with this, considering that, like this is the original, and I really was like not too excited about it because I knew I only had one light and whatever, but actually it turned out good. I'm happy with it. That's pretty cool. What I would do here, in addition to this editing, I would kind of zoom in and straighten out the fabric a little bit on her and things like that. I can't do this here on a live because then YouTube flags it as a like they put an age limitation on the video, and that's really not the point. I don't want to like zoom in. You know what I mean? Like, and then and it's kind of a boring editing style anyways. You kind of like try to get rid of little wrinkles here and there, and it's a lot of try and error. So I'm not going to do this now, but for this photo, if I look at it, and I'm not going to zoom in because I don't want to get flagged here, but you see what I mean. Like you want to kind of straighten out the wrinkles a little bit. So copy paste the settings to the next photo. I don't know why we took 2 of those, or I picked 2. That's good. Oh, it's just a different way her arm. Yeah, her arm went down a little bit. This is actually the better photo. Now let me just fix this one here. I'm gonna put it here. How about that? And I feel like the background is a little too dark, so I'm gonna lift up the shadows just a touch. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Yep. No, I had one video where I did it. Like I was zooming in and fixed the fabric, and then YouTube flagged it for like, like, okay. I get it. Like, but all right, cool. And see, this is sometimes what you're dealing with. Like you have this room without really windows, and then the few windows, like there were some on the left here, but there wasn't a lot of light coming in because it was such an overcast, rainy day. I only had one light, so I created a little edge light to give like, let me zoom to 100. Like, see how the leg has a little, it helps her a little bit, I feel. Um, and then you're dealing with this kind of color. So let's fix this. Let's start with the exposure. So first, so I'm going to, when I edit, there's so many options. So what I do is like I limit myself to just like step by step, and I'm only looking at one thing at a time. So I'm starting usually with the crop, make sure it's straight, and it's just like a thing. If I look at a photo and edit it and it's crooked, it just bothers me the entire time, right? So I want it straight. I don't want to look at it like this or this. Okay, so that's the first thing I do. Then usually what I do is the exposure to get it into the right ballpark of overall brightness. Doesn't mean it's finished in terms of exposure. There's more things I want to do, but it gets me there. Okay, and then the next thing I try to get the overall color right, and for that I zoom in on the face usually, and I talked about it many times. So I move the mouse or the hand in this case over a skin part, and then you guys have to look here. Okay, see the histogram, and once I start moving the mouse over the image, you'll see three numbers, a percentage appear, right? So right now it's 60, 50, 38 point something. So it's roughly 60, 50, 40, right? That's the perfect ratio you have for skin. So it's like 60%, 50%, 40%, or 70, 60, 50, things like that. So like it's a step down between red, green, and blue. And that's 10% difference between those. Really, it doesn't matter what brightness level it is. Always roughly stays the same. It doesn't have to be 100%. You know, everybody has slightly different skin. But again, sorry, long story short, move the mouse over the skin and look at these three numbers here, right? And as long as they're in this three-step 10% roughly difference, you're good. So I know this is a good, because there's nothing white here. I can't do a color pick on a white thing and say, okay, like especially on clothes, never use clothes. They all have optical. You never use vignetting. Just curious. I'll come to that in a second. So fabric usually has optical brighteners. They transform ultraviolet light into slightly bluish white, and so you're off. And then so I never try to use clothing white as my color picker. Vignetting. You mean like here effects vignetting like this? I don't like to use it because it feels. Oh, my Bluetooth. That's my tablet. Let me plug this in real quick here. Where's my battery? Here we go. I want to use my tablet. Should have charged it before. All right, 1 and 2, and here we go. Okay, yes. Okay, got it back. So I don't like the vignette because it's just, yeah. It sometimes helps to kind of give the center of the photo attention. But zero it out. No, zero. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Just a matter of personal taste. I don't like it that much. Anyways, let's continue with the subject mask. Give it name, subject. I'm mostly interested with the background here. I'm going to start with that background. So I'm going to make that bluer. Well, actually, I'm not making it bluer. The background is just all yellow, warm color. Overkill. So by pulling the color temperature more towards the blue, I make it more neutral, basically. I'm compensating for that. Oh, look. Look at that. Oh, Jesus. No. Someone's standing there. I do like how you incorporated a few textbook elements in this one. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Um, I don't know. This is literally just a session I've done, and I just thought it was interesting to edit. And I did previously edit it, but I was like under time pressure, so I wanted to go back and do a little better job on this one. So I thought going live with this one's perfect. Um, hey, Luis. So, okay, where were we? Background. So I was just taking the background, right, and just make it bluer, which because it is so warm, just puts it in neutral. And that overall already puts the image into a good, like, overall space. I hate that there's a person in the background. It was like his sister or maybe her mom. I don't know. Probably looking at the next spot to photograph. It's just a matter of trying to get distractions away, just a little bit, but who cares? Cool. Thanks everybody for coming. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm just editing and happy to chat and talk about stuff. And if you see something that I don't see, like before someone Pepe said that. Sorry, I'm butchering your name again. Like you saw shadows, like, oh wait, let's go back to this one. Anyway, so yeah, feel free to yell at me. It's like, oh, you missed this, you missed that. Um, so yeah, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy. I know, I know. I'm trying to learn to pronounce names in different languages. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm trying to think what else I could do with this. I don't want to like over edit. That's one of my main things about my photography style is just it's supposed to be pretty, but more on the realistic side. I don't want to over edit, overcook it, make the colors look crazy, or set too many lights that it looks like too polished. The best example I can think of, and I'm not judging photographers doing that, but like, like they do like cheer photography or like in general, like sports photographers, they have like this blue edge light and then this yellow or red edge light and then this flash, and it just looks like very like almost like a hand drawn, like a I don't know. It just looks too made. I don't know what the word is. It looks like a like a like a candy or like a cake you buy at a store. It's just overdone with colors. I like natural. All right, enough about that. So I'm trying not to edit too much. That's basically what I was trying to say here. All right, that's pretty good. There's a few others with a similar setup, so I'm going to try to just copy and paste it to the next one and see what happens. At least it gets me to the hey Barbie fun. Hi. And Jukus Koth. Oh my god. I'm so sorry with the names. I'm terrible. But thanks everybody for stopping by. Feel free to ask questions. Unfortunately, I only speak English and German, so if it's in a different language, maybe I can copy paste it to like a Google Translate or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Do you ever do studio photo shoots for like picture day or the whole studio? Barbie fun. Thanks for the question. Yeah, I've done that with dance studios where I just come in and set up one setting, like kind of a studio style setup with all the lights, background, blah blah blah, and then everybody comes in and does their photos. I've done that. Yes, it's not my favorite shoot because it's not very creative. Like you set it up once, right? And then you just sit on your thing and just click and they do the poses. It's not the most exciting thing for me as a photographer to do, but it pays the bills and I'll do it for sure. All right, this needs a little more brightness overall, but I like it. It's very good. I said it before, there is a few things that I will do, but not here on the live because YouTube will flag. They won't ban or anything. It's just like they put an age limitation on a video if they think anyway. point is, like, I'm not gonna zoom in on legs and start editing skin because that's something that YouTube will flag, and I don't want to do this. But I will do it, and I'm just gonna skip over it now. You get it. Yes, that's what I do most of the time. Can be pretty boring. Yeah, I get it. I've done it, and it's fine. It it's it can still be interesting if you can give them a sense of like helping them. Like if you can help them, like suggest poses or make just be funny with them, and then they just like getting in a good mood and we get better photos. But then you are like the animator for the whole day and just try to make everybody like laugh. Anyways, all right, cool. Oh, there's a person here. We're gonna get rid of that. I don't know who that was. That must have been someone else. Oh, here's the thing. So this space is huge. This is a huge area with lots of buildings. And I know this is not good, but nobody cares. Nobody sees what that is. And they rent it out to several photographers at the same time. And since it's such a large space, you usually don't even see each other. But sometimes two photographers go in the same building, and then you have someone there. I don't mind at all because uh, I just shoot in a different direction if there's someone. And they usually shoot like for 10, 20 minutes, and then we'll swap spaces. It's super easy to talk to each other and figure it out. Actually, it's pretty good. Oh, I already copied and pasted the settings. All right. I was like, wait, this is pretty good already. That's because I already did some editing on it. Yes. This I can fix real quick. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is awesome. Pretty happy with it. I guess I must have changed the exposure because this is way overexposed. Let me look at the data here. I shot this with 1/180th of a second, and this is 250. So yeah, I opened it up by a third, and she changed her pose a little bit. You look at the difference, like here, by just angling herself a little different. So much more of her got the light from here, and it's way too bright. Okay, so let's do this. I'll take it all the way down. Subject, and just the highlights down. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what I can do here. I think if I take the highlights down here a little bit, that helps. Also this. I hate when I do that. I hate when I change the settings from shot to shot, then I have to adjust it differently. If I leave it in one setting, then the copy paste in Lightroom works so much better. That's why I never shoot in automatic mode. Well, never, maybe not, but like on all my shoots where I control the light, like if I do like an event, that's different. But if I set up a photo shoot like this, I always shoot manual. Set my exposure once and then leave it as that. Thank you. Great. Oh, nice star here. Thank you. Thanks for the award, whatever that is. This is a fun shot. Love that. So she was like, reaching, like arching down, and then just came back up. And I love the hair. This is so cool. We did a video of that too. I don't know if I have it on my channel. If not, I have to post it. It's actually kind of cool. So this is really good. Oh, I shot it at thousands of a second. I cranked up the ISO. That's why it's so noisy. Ooh. All right, where are we? Ugh. Now we get to my least favorite part of the building. This is interesting. Yeah, this is going to need some extra editing. You know what? I think I can actually reuse the masks from here and just copy paste. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll put me in a decent starting point. Actually, it does. Yes, I was right. So, adjusting the exposure, background. What if I make it even more neutral and do the saturation a little bit lower? Yeah, that helps a lot. Cool. Subject, we need a little bit. I don't know if I want to use that darned dehaze again. Actually, it does work. Look at how it shapes her so much better. I like it. Okay. Still need to compensate with a little saturation because dehaze really pumps up the saturation as well. Okay, actually, I'm pretty, wow. Why did I use the thousandths of a second for this pose? Totally unnecessary. It's fine. Oh, look at her hands have a different color. I know why. Yes. See, the subject mask forgot the hands. Don't ask me why. Select. No, not this brush. Subject. Add objects. And let me see if it worked. Yes. And then from the background, it also forgot, so I have to take that away. Subtract object. Object, here we go. That fixed it. Okay, much better. Alrighty, here we go. Still feels like a little bit. I think it's fine. Yeah. Cool. Okay, good. Yeah, that's something you have to look for. Lightroom is really good at making masks, but sometimes forget, especially if a person is like doing things that a normal human doesn't do, like a gymnast where they arch back and it can't quite figure out what the shape is because it's trained on people, on persons, on photos of people. You know, it's an AI system that is trained to find people. But it's not trained on gymnasts and dancers doing crazy poses, so it often misses things that are, you know, that my subjects often do. Love it. We have a bunch more here. Now here's the, hold on. Here is the scary part. Not scary. So if I sync something here, right, it also syncs these extra objects that I added, but it might not be necessary for the next photos. In this case, actually, it still missed it. Okay. But it's mostly for these photos. So now I'm going to sync it to these three without this extra object that I subtracted or added. Because here it'll be fine. Yes, and it is. Let me double check. Yeah, it does a great job here. If a person is more or less in a reasonable shape, it just added this little. It thinks that this highlight is part of it. I don't care. Doesn't matter really. She did a great job on this jump. Okay. Yeah, great job, great job. I think the background's a little bit too bright. Let's bring it down a touch. Yeah, this is better. This looks more natural. Go back to the previous photo. Let's do the same here. Background, a little darker. That's good. And on this one here, we have to do that again. Background, subtract, object. There we go. And then subject, add objects. Here we go. Cool. All right, straighten this out, do the crop. God, I love this. This is really cool. I like this one. This one's good too. And yet another one. I don't know why I picked 3, but I guess they all turned out good. So I wanted to give them the option. Very cool. I think it's overall a touch too bright. Let's bring it down a little bit. Look at how perfect her hair is doing. That's really cool. Got stuck a little bit here for a moment. All right. What are we doing with these? Let's see. I have a previous photo from a similar spot, which was this one here. So we're going to take the settings from this photo because it's basically the same spot she's standing. So I can copy paste the settings from that one. And hopefully that gets me in the right ballpark. We'll see. Yes, it does. Oh, I love Lightroom. Don't you guys love Lightroom? Nice. I really like it. Very cool. A little bit too bright, but that's good. Cool. There's a weird shadow here. Let me see if I can fix this. It's just between the earring or something. Cool. Yeah, it's not perfect. Let me see. This is better. Cool. What about this one? That's good. Love it. Again, those photos are mostly for the maker of the leotards, her outfits. So they want just plain, relatively plain shots of seeing their outfits. I would love to do some black and whites here, but really that isn't the point. Cool. Alrighty, let's do one more and then we're going to wrap up for today. Since we had these awesome windows, let's use them, I thought, and do a few photos with her in the windows. I'm not sure about the crop. I don't know if I need it that wide. I know the window is that tall, but does that help my overall composition? The wider you go, the smaller your subject gets. So let's see. Outdoor. Outdoor is a preset I made. I called it outdoor. All it does, it creates a bunch of masks, so I can use it for anything, whether it's indoor or outdoor. There's a few masks that it doesn't really make well, so we can delete those. Sky one. The most important one here is her, the subject. I want to brighten her up because she's standing in front of a bright window. The next thing I want to do is just overall enhance the vibrance. The vibrance, and the difference between vibrance and saturation is vibrance enhances colors that are not like every color except skin tones. It tries to leave skin tones mostly untouched and enhances or saturates other colors more. If you use the saturation slider, you see how she turns like to an orange clown. Not making any references here, but you know what I mean. And here, her skin, let me bring this back to 0. Her skin doesn't get changed that much, but everything else gets a lot more saturation. So overall, since I shoot people, I use vibrance more than saturation. If you shoot mostly landscapes and or architecture, or like where the people are not the main subject, then saturation might be your friend. Cool. Let's bring up the shadows a touch. Actually, no, I like it a little bit like that. It's pretty cool. I actually like it. I wish it would have been brighter outside, but that was the weather. It is what it is. Cool. All right, we're gonna end here today, tomorrow morning, whatever it is, and maybe we'll pick up tomorrow on this one here, or Sunday. Tomorrow or Sunday. I haven't figured it out yet, but yeah, there's a bunch more I need to edit here that we're gonna get to the next days. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate you keeping me company here. And I'll see you guys soon again. Thanks so much. Bye.